so today we're going to talk about how to deal with cite passages for the AP Latin exam. These cite passages will possibly come from Virgil or from Caesar, from the sections that we have not read in class, or they may come from someone totally different, like Livy or Ovid. Those are some of the common ones. So what we're going to do today is take a look at a practice cite passage, which I took from the National Latin Exam Archives. The National Latin Exam, or the NLE as I will call it, is an incredible resource for you. If you go onto their website, just Google search National Latin Exam, you will find all of the NLEs dating back to 1999, and I believe there are 6 different tests per year for the NLE, depending on level, and at least 1, possibly 2 cite passages in each test. So you can do the math on it. It is a lot of extra practice. So if you ever want extra practice with cite passages, just go to the NLE website and grab any one of them from there. The passage we're going to look at today comes from the 2010 National Latin Exam Level 3, and this is what it looks like. So when you get a cite passage on the AP Latin exam, it will look just about the same as this. It'll give you a title, for example, right now, "A Cow Foretells the Future," and a little bit more information right underneath the title. For example, "A Sabine farmer brings his miraculous cow to Rome for sacrifice." Then it will give you the Latin text and some glossed vocab words. So, this video is all about pro tips for dealing with cite passages. And pro tip number 1 is use the title. Use what is given to you for your context. So when we have passages on our text that we have seen already, we use things like keywords to remind us where we are in the text. You can't do that on a cite passage because you've never seen it before. But that's why we give you the context. So use the title. Don't just ignore the title. "A cow foretells the future." That tells me a couple things. Right away, we're dealing with a cow. So you're going to see a bunch of Latin words that mean cow. You know that this cow is somewhat magical because the cow is telling the future. So we may have something about prophecy or something about talking about the future. So that's something that gives us a little bit more context. We know that the cow is owned by a Sabine farmer, so you'll probably hear something about farmers, something about a Sabine. We know that the cow is miraculous, and we know that they're going to Rome to sacrifice the cow. So there's got to be some sort of action in there that is problematic, seeing as the cow foretells the future, and it's going to Rome to be sacrificed. So, tip number 1, pro tip number 1, ready? Use the title and the caption for context. They give it to you on purpose. Don't go in blind, because otherwise you're guessing on everything. Use the context given to you. Now, pro tip number 2. There are glossed words right here on the right-hand side. All the glossed words are underlined in the text. For example, "Progidium habita est." So don't forget about them. Don't try to translate everything if it is glossed for you. So use the glossed vocab words. Number 1, use the title and caption. Number 2, use the glossed vocab words that they give you. It's important. Now, when you use the context, then you notice the vocab words, then you get right into jumping into the questions themselves. You do not need to translate every word of this. This is multiple choice. Same deal on the AP exam. It's not asking you to translate everything by sight, so don't try to translate everything right away. You don't need to do that. Instead, let's jump right into the questions. So jump right into question number 1, or in our case, 27. The cow, line 1, is impressive because of its color, voice, origin, or size. Now, first thing that stands out to me is line 1. They give you these line numbers on purpose. You do not need to look everywhere in this passage to figure out where the answer to this question is. The answer to the question will be on line 1. So, use that. And here's another pro tip for you. Usually, they will give you the line number or line numbers over the entire area in which you'll find the answer. So, if I was looking for the answer to a question and it was somewhere in this sentence, right here, then they would tell me that it's in lines 1 through 3. So, if it only says line 1, then we're looking for a sentence that is completely compiled in line 1. And lucky for us, we have one. It's got to be there. So we've already blocked things off for ourselves. The answer doesn't go across multiple lines. the answer is found in line 1. So look at the sentence that is only in line 1. So the cow is impressive because of something. Now I want to look at what my options are. Color, voice, origin, or size. I don't really want to translate this entire sentence because that'll waste time. So instead I'm going to look for any words that I might know that might give me a hint as to what the correct answer is. So I would just scan through this first sentence right here, this Quaidam vos mirai, and see if any words relate somehow to color, voice, origin, or size. So scanning through, the first thing that stands out to me is magnitudinous. That looks like magnitude in English. So it probably has something to do with size. I'm not going to go any further than that. The answer is D. So what we've learned from that is number 1, use the title and the caption. Number 2, use any gloss vocab words you have. Number 3, get a sense of what the possible answers could be based on the multiple choice, and look for any similar words that will give you a hint as to what the correct answer is. In the previous one, we have the word magnitudine, so it's got to have something to do with size, and we know the answer is in that first sentence because it told us it was in line 1. Well, that's good enough for me. It's probably going to be something that has to do with size. Let's go back. All right, let's take a look at the second question, number 28. According to lines 2 and 3, aha, stop right there. Ooh, whoops. All right, stop right there at lines 2 and 3. We now know that our answer is somewhere in lines 2 and 3. And better yet, it gives us an actual blocked off area of text. So block this off. Don't go any farther than what they give you. The answer is in there. They will tell you where to look for the answer. So only look in there. It blocks things off for you. It's great. What does the one who sacrifices the cow earn for his state? So let's look at our possible options first, and then we can run through the Latin briefly to see if there's anything that stands out. Possible options are praise from the king, control over all lands, great wealth, or favor from the gods. So if I'm looking at this sentence, it stands out to me, something about being sacrificed. Diana stands out to me. It's got to be sacrificing to Diana. This cow, I know that bovine is pertaining to a cow, so it's probably cow. But that doesn't help me too much. So let's keep going. We have civitas, that looks like civilization or civil, probably something about the state. Rectura est, which doesn't help me at all. I don't know what that means. Shoot, ignore it. Then we've got omnes terras. Oh, omnes terras, I know that. All land. Let's see. Praise from the king? No. All the lands. Sweet. B. Don't make it any more complicated than it is. So again, what we did here was we looked through the answers, we tried to get a sense as to what they could possibly be, then run through the Latin briefly and see if there are any words that stand out to you, like magnitudinous in the first one, or omnes terras in the second one, that'll tell you what the right answer is. So, number 29. In line 2, rectura est is best translated. Ah, shoot. As I just said, I don't know what rectura est means. Wow. Well, that's okay. Don't let that throw off your entire section. If you don't know what a word means, well, trust your grammar. We've got rectura est. I know it's a verb because of the est part. And what stands out to me in rectura est is that you are. Rectura. It's weird to have that you are right before your ending unless you're dealing with a future active participle, right? Recturas aum, amaturus aum, and so on. So that you are should be that big flashing red light to you that says, aha, future active, future rectura. So future active, something has to be future in here. So it's probably not has ruled. It's probably not might rule. Well, now I have will be ruled and is going to rule. Both of those are kind of future-y. But rectura is a future active participle, right? So it's probably not will be ruled because that's passive. D is going to rule. Future-y and active-y. There you go. So there are a couple of things we did with this one. Not only have we checked the title and caption and used any gloss words and gotten a sense of what the possible answers could be, that didn't really help us on this question. Instead, you've got to trust your grammar. Trust what you know. If you see something that looks like a future active participle, well, it probably is. So use that. Use that to your advantage. And another thing we did on this question was we did the process of elimination. This is multiple choice. It's not short answer. So use the process of elimination when you're going through. You have the right answer in there. You have a 1 in 4 chance. So use those possible answers to try to narrow down your choices. From the one that we were just doing, we knew it couldn't be has ruled, might, or might rule because it's not future. And we know it can't be will be ruled because it's future active. So we did a combination of trusting your grammar and using process of elimination. Now let's take a look at number 30. In line 4, okay, so first thing you do, block off what you're looking at. Line 4, suai. Aha. Suai refers to something. So if you remember suai, you'll remember that it is his own, her own, or its own. And you can figure that out based on the subject. It always refers back to your subject. So if you had sua, then it must be referring back to your subject, her own. In this case, we have suai, and it's modifying kiwatati. So it's got to be referring back to your subject. Sua always refers back to your subject. What's your subject? Agricola Sabinos. So, what's the answer? The Sabine farmer. So this one we didn't even need to use the process of elimination. If you always remember your grammar that suis refers back to your subject, well, then it's got to be your subject. And there you go. So those are my biggest pro tips for you. These are just a couple of questions. But let's remember what we need to do when dealing with a cite passage. Number 1, use the title and the caption for context. Number 2, trust the glossed words if you have any. Number 3, read the answers, right? Read the answers before you jump into them. Get a sense as to what any possible answers might be, and then run through the Latin briefly to see if you have any similar words that will give you an idea. Also, another pro tip that I didn't actually write on here, but it's a great one, is block off the text that they're actually asking about. They'll tell you if it's in line 1, don't look farther than line 1. The answer is there. So, look for any possible similar words. Trust your grammar. You know your noun charts. I made you memorize them, so trust them. Trust your verb synopses. If you see something that looks like a future active participle, it is. And use your process of elimination. They are multiple choice questions, so use them to your advantage. Hope this helps.